December 27, 1977, a young serviceman and a young woman made a promise to each other. That promise was to love, honor, and cherish each other for the rest of their lives. Now, I'm pretty sure that my mom had the word obey taken out of the vows. On occasion, there were threats of death, but they continued to still abide by their vows. After the small ceremony, duty called, and my dad had to go to Massachusetts, where my mom followed. They left all their familiar surroundings, their family, and their friends, and they continued on a new journey of life. On September 12, 1979, my brother, Jeremy, was born. Kathy and David, my parents, had an opportunity a few years later to live a civilian life. They returned to their hometown, and David started his career, and my mother got comfortable in life and made a home for themselves. 4 years after the first, they had a chance at perfection, and they had me. At some point, my parents decided to attend college. I'm not sure if that was a stroke of genius on their part or an act of stupidity, especially since they had 2 children. Nonetheless, they knew that education was the key to success. On one occasion, I remember going to one of my father's class when they couldn't find a sitter. I believe it was algebra class. At that time, it seemed like gibberish, and honestly, to this day, it really still does. My mother soon followed suit after my father finished and continued for her education degree. My brother and I fondly called her the woman upstairs. Close to 4 years later, and a race to see who could finish first, my brother or my mother graduated in 1997. My brother, the year after, in 1998. At some point, Jeremy left the house, and I found myself in love with the boy of their dreams. And my parents finally found themselves alone once again. But after 26 years of marriage, from what I understand, this is a defining point in marriage. Yes, sure, the first few years are tough. And yes, the first few years with children are tough too. But this is a point in your marriage where you sink or swim. I'm delighted to say that they survived 2 teenagers, still intact, they're still intact, and they're still in love. I'm delighted to say that they're survivors. Now, after 32 years of blissful marriage, there are a few things that my brother and I made note of during the course of their marriage and the course of their lives. The first one is that when the first child is born, no matter how much you study, no matter how much you read and try to find out the answers of parenthood, the oldest is still the guinea pig. And honestly, the oldest deserves a little bit of slack because the parents are just guessing at what to do. Secondly, men are naturally drawn to television, mostly because I think it's the only thing sometimes that they can control in life. When it mutes, it mutes. That's not really an option for a husband to say to his wife, because generally it ends up in yelling. Thirdly, boys are never too old for their toys. When they're little, it's small trucks. When they're big, it's usually quite expensive. In my case, for my family, my father has his Mini Cooper, my brother has his Dodge Ram, my uncle has his Chargers, and the family grandfather has, I'm sorry, not the family grandfather, but my grandfather has his Ford truck. It's his baby. It's just they're never too old for their toys. And finally, the old saying goes that if mommy ain't happy, there's nobody happy. We found this to be very true. All joking aside, I'd like to say thank you to my parents and the sacrifices you gave for an opportunity in our lives. You set the blueprint for a happy life for us. Thank you for lending an ear without judgment, an eye for our children, and a hand for the things we don't know what to do. I'll conclude by quoting Desmond Tutu. You don't choose your family. They're God's gift to you. as you are to them. Congratulations on 32 years of wedded bliss.